We have a trigger warning for miscarriage.
Thank you. Am I the asshole for flipping out at my husband for lying to my boss and telling him that I had a miscarriage? I, 29 female, found out that I'm pregnant recently. I work a full-time job and I'm fairly busy. Unlike my husband, who, 31 male, only works part-time and has plenty of time to spare. He visits his family almost daily. He also complains about how I keep missing events that I think aren't that relevant because my in-laws literally have a party every week. He told me that his mom has picked up on my absence and said that it's affecting how she sees me and the way I prioritize work over family. I had this conversation with him and his mom 100 times, but to no avail. Last week, he wanted me to attend his cousin's gender reveal party. I refused because I had to work. He told me to take the day off, but that wasn't possible due to how much work I needed to get done. He pitched a hissy fit saying I'm prioritizing work over family and got mad when I told him that a relative's gender reveal party wasn't that important to attend. The next day, and unbeknownst to me, he sent my boss a text using my phone, pretending to be me, telling him that I was at the hospital because I was having a miscarriage. I could not believe it, and for a minute, thought it was a joke. But seeing how my boss responded just confirmed it. My boss didn't even know I was pregnant, and I didn't want to tell him or the others until later on. I was seething. I shouted for my husband to come into the room and explain what the hell was going on. He told me he did that as a desperate attempt to get me some time off work and, quote, actually focus on what matters. I flipped the fuck out at him and told him that this was my livelihood he was trying to mess with. But he said I basically made him resort to this and that he wouldn't have to lie if I actually made some time to see and interact with his family and show them back the respect they keep showing me. I yelled at him asking how I was going to deal with this ridiculous lie that he told my boss, and he told me that it was easy. All I had to do was tell my boss that it was just a, quote, miscarriage scare. We argued more, and I told him I wasn't going to his cousin's party after this. He threw another fit about how my job isn't actually the problem and that I was constantly looking for excuses to avoid spending time with his family. He called me selfish and told me to look at the mirror and see who the one is in the wrong. He left to attend the party, and I stayed home. He wasn't speaking to me when he got back and didn't even sit with me for dinner. Am I the asshole?
No.
I would not have been there when he got back.
I
do not fuck with trust shit. And this is a trust thing, and I do not fuck with that. This is so easy for me to be done. And I don't know if that's just me, but I get it. Marriage, life, kids, whatever's going on, this forever colors the relationship for me. Forever. Seriously.
I agree.
Yeah, I know. And people get mad if we just say like divorce, you know, because it's like one situation. It's so much more complex than, you know, obviously. There's so many things wrong with this situation. And I'm not saying get a divorce, but I'm saying he needs to get his head on straight.
This is enmeshment 101.
This shit ain't changing.
This is not changing. This is the life she will have forever.
Okay, well, let's break it down to even simpler. The fact that he wanted to lie about something so traumatic too, right? Like
how despicable.
So for example, when I was really young and I was in competitive cheerleading, practice was very serious, right? Like our coaches were
do or die
ex-college football coaches, and one time I wanted to miss practice for no good reason, and I wanted to do this lie. Like and I didn't know what to say, but I was like, well, maybe I could say there was like a death in the family, and like me and my mom are like pondering this together. Like that's literally.
Yeah.
And me and my mom were like, no, it's so wrong to even say there's a death in the family.
Yes.
Dude, it's almost like you're putting that into fruition.
It's like putting like negative energy out there to save yourself. Like, no, that. That's just weird.
And so what
especially
if
you're detailed about it.
Yeah.
Like, especially if someone's like, oh, it was my grandpa or something like that. Like, then it's just like, there's such
bad juju.
Yes, it's just not good. So
no.
That from the very start, in a very simple form, like what the f- are you doing? And then continue.
Well, I just think like, what if by the sounds of it, she's still very early on. I found out that I'm pregnant recently. What if she does have a miscarriage now? Also, I just think like, I don't understand where his logic was or if this man even has a brain, because how are you going to explain a baby or like something down the road? Like just being like, oh, it was a miscarriage scare. But still, you're going to steal her phone and text her boss because you're sad she can't go to a gender reveal party?
That was the second thing. Stole phone, texted somebody pretending to be her.
Dude,
this is the most deceptive.
That's the part, yeah.
This is deceptive as
And then we get to the rest of it, which is like the reason why he's doing it.
Selfish.
His reaction to the miscarriage, just from what I know from this story, would be like, oh, now it'll be easy to tell your boss if it was a real one.
Yeah, like the boss is going to believe you more now. And,
right.
And also you'll be able to come to more family events.
Yeah.
So this is a win-win. This is the most enmeshed person. And your wife is working full-time, but you're working part-time, so you have all this time. Like, I think the comment, too, that really kind of threw me for a loop here was like, I work a full-time job, and so I'm fairly busy. Unlike my husband, 31 male, who only works part-time and has plenty of time to spare.
To be honest, it actually does really, I feel, for me specifically, change my state of mind within the environment that I'm in. If I'm working my ass off doing something, it's like the way that my brain works is different than when I don't have much going on. You're happier being more productive.
Yeah,
and so
as
that's why
need things to do.
Right. So that's why I think when you're partnered with somebody who has a full-time job and you have a part-time job and you guys don't have kids together yet, and so it's like there's a differentiation of like what you're doing day to day, there's a disconnect.
Going off the point that you just had, I need to find it though. Mm-hmm. I flipped the out at him and told him that this was my livelihood he was trying to mess with, which, to your point, it is both of your livelihood that you're f***ing with because he's not doing shit.
Unless they keep their finances separate.
Which, that adds a dynamic.
There's a lot of couples that keep their finances completely separate in their marriage.
Which I think is honestly kind of smart. Like have a mutual account.
For joint
but
expenses.
But also make your own credit and make your own choices with your credit. Like it honestly, I think in some points is advantageous because you can do separate loans that aren't connected and whatever. I don't know. Yeah. I'm not a finance major.
You're not a finance bro.
I just think, regardless, she seems like she's the one who's having the most support. And to expect someone to uphold that support and also be at all this, it's impossible.
Yeah.
Like it's just the expectations are unrealistic.
My point of like when you, as a human, when we don't have as much going on and the way that our brains start to work, like for example, my roommate in college, who's I love so much, she's literally one of my best friends still. But when she had a really light load in college and all of us had a lot of classes, she would sit in the apartment and just like watch us go in and out and just glare at us if like one of my roommates like dropped like a piece of like peanut butter on the counter.
She was bored.
Yeah. And then she like dipped out and she was literally like waking up at like 7 a.m. and like wouldn't get home until like midnight because she was an architect major and like had to be working on projects that took hours and hours. And then she like comes home to like a note that's like, clean up your peanut butter.
So aggressive.
But like my point is that like this person is an amazing person. She's like literally one of my favorite people ever. But when she literally had like such a light load, it was like she was so bored that she felt like she needed to be doing something and like didn't know where to channel that energy.
Do you think that's the husband in this case?
That's what I'm kind of alluding to, is that like, why is he being so unreasonable and irrational? Maybe it's because he's just so bored and the love of his life, his wife, is not, you know?
It's interesting.
Do you think, though, that a bored person, I mean, I understand being bored and kind of twiddling your thumbs and you go stir crazy and whatever, but I would never text my partner's boss.
Well, again, I'm not saying that any of this is an excuse. Like that's what I want to make very clear. I'm not saying like, oh, that's okay. My point is just like
trying to understand maybe a little bit of the other side.
Not even that. Just kind of like, why is he doing this? Where is it coming from? I'm not saying that's an excuse. Like I'm not saying that like my friend that like her like pointing
The peanut
clean
butter
up your
note.
peanut butter. I'm not saying like, oh, she had a good reason. No, I still think that was dumb. But like, my point is that like, I think as humans, I've noticed it in myself where like I start to get a little stir crazy, especially if like the people that I'm closest with around me have a lot going on and I'm not doing something. Then it's kind of like, you just like have this like, and like we are like meant as humans to like do something. Like we're little worker bees. Like we like to at least have something going on.
Well, it feels
right?
like you're losing value. When you told that story, I was about to say you literally like can't falter for the note. I get the fact that where
I mean, I still can. My point.
No,
like,
I'm saying from
my point is, like,
that perspective though, and especially coming out of COVID, there's so much isolation, and what isolation does is you go crazy. You become not yourself. I honestly kind of, without knowing this girl, I feel like the note was written not truly fully by her. It's written by this persona and this whole other identity that's created through the things that come with isolation, like depression, like feeling undervalued, like feeling like a sense of worthlessness.
Right.
And so I feel like the note isn't truly coming from her as a person. I feel like it's coming from the circumstance of what she's been going through. Because I've seen people in my life that's happened to, where you if you start to lack a purpose, you really start to change, and you start to almost take down.
I feel it. I'm raising my hand because I feel it.
But he wasn't referring to you.
No,
I'm just saying I've
I don't
seen
feel
it,
it
and I just think that it's something to recognize and not instantly fault someone for. In this case, though, this is extreme because she is like, it's more than just, oh, I'm jealous of my roommate because they're out and they have so much stuff they're doing, and I don't have shit going on.
Yeah.
This is like, dude, you're
sabotaging your life and your marriage and being in the same household as your child and not being a single dad. Like that's where you're really like, you're self-sabotaging so hard on this one.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm saying I understand that because I've seen it. But, and then the alter side is like, but I fault when you start someone's life and you send a text message to their boss.
But also, like, out of all the excuses you could have come up with, where I can't go to work, I have food poisoning, I have this, I have that, I'm ill. There's so many easier ways out of it. If you're going to text someone's boss, I'm sick, I cannot get off the toilet, I am so sorry.
No, it was deliberately not that.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. This is so unhinged. I picked this one because I'm so unresolved in the fact I need to know what she does.
Ooh.
And the comments did not. They came. Like the top comment.
They did not. They came.
They came. They came. I don't know. I'm just like, I'm
poetry.
They didn't. I was gonna be like they didn't fuck around, but they really came. They came for this man and like really just kind of laid into it. So
I mean, he's a idiot. So I hope they did.
Honestly, I would go beyond idiot. Like this is actually like
malicious,
gross,
intentful,
rude,
criminal.
I can't think of anything else.
Despicable,
repugnant,
repulsive,
dick knifey.
That's
we got to end on that one.
So the top comment, over 26,000 upvotes at this point in time. This man will not be a good father. And it's also the most awarded. Next comment. Yeah. I really think OP needs to be a single parent and let him support himself on his part-time job or go live with mommy. Next comment. OP is going to be a single parent whether she stays married to her husband or not. She may as well make it official.
Yep.
Next comment. At least, as a single parent, she'll only have one kid to take care of instead of two. Next comment.
That's the best one for me.
And that one won't be actively sabotaging her career. Next comment. But she probably will have to pay him alimony because useless, not the asshole.
True.
Sucks.
Someone does go after that one. Not necessarily. Alimony requirements have specific metrics to be followed. For instance, if he is able-bodied and has shown the ability to work, even if he were awarded alimony, it would be highly unlikely to be on a very limited time basis because he would be assumed to be able to provide for himself after a certain point.
True.
Which, that's what I want to get to the bottom of. I want to get to the bottom of the part-time job.
No, but I was going to say also, if depending on what, okay, we're getting far into it. It hasn't happened yet, but depending on how often they have the child back and forth too, that's a whole nother thing about alimony.
Well,
it's like if he only has the kid every other weekend, she's probably not going to pay him alimony. It doesn't make sense.
Because it would justify the decreased child support.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would balance out a little bit. Yeah. I feel that.
The story doesn't necessarily lead me to the thought, but there is a higher prevalence of stay-at-home dads now.
Yes.
So that could, in theory, if she wanted to stay on her career and stayed full time, that could justify the part-time job.
I don't think this man would accept that, though.
No, I'm saying I think in society that is something.
I mean, me and Lauren have had a story. This is like an OG story where this woman's husband was just like a stay-at-home husband, and he was like a beekeeper and did like home brewing, and he got
super
shit.
cute.
Like people literally asked her, "Why are you married to him?" Like her friends.
Well, do you think that's where this crazy insecurity is coming from?
Maybe.